The Falklands. When I say that, what comes into your mind?
Is it the islands that in 1982 Britain and Argentina went to war over?
This is Mount Tumbledown, site of one of the famous battles.
The archipelago has another claim to fame.
When I think of the Falklands, I think of these. As many as 1 million penguins live on the islands.
Over a magical summer, I'll see surfing rockhoppers. Killer whales hunting seals will get almost close enough to touch. I'll work out with a king penguin chick. There'll be rare raptors and braying penguins. I'll be in the company of dolphins and become Pied Piper for baby gentoos.
It's also the best place to spend time with these. Nearly 3/4 of the world's population of black-browed albatross nest here in the Falklands.
On this adventure, I'm 8,000 miles from my home in England. These far-flung islands are in the South Atlantic, 400 miles from the tip of South America. Before dropping in on the animals, I have a bird's-eye view of the terrain.
This is a great way to get an idea of the lie of the land. I'm on a training flight with the RAF 78 Squadron. It's surprising what a large area the Falkland Islands cover. Around 4,700 square miles, about the size of Wales. And as well as the two main islands, East and West Falkland, there's about 750 smaller islands and islets. This is one of the most striking geological features. You never find them as big anywhere else. They're called stone runs.
These rivers of boulders, sometimes over 2 miles long, were formed in the last ice age when cycles of freezing and thawing broke up the rock, then heaved and sorted the boulders that remained. We're flying over the stone runs on East Falkland, en route to Sea Lion, one of the smaller islands. Now's my chance to disprove the myth that penguins lose their balance looking up at aircraft and topple over. Look, they're all still standing. In late spring, most of these gentoo penguins are tending young chicks.
They're found on many of the islands, but there's a lovely colony here on Sea Lion. And on gusty days like this, they're all facing in one direction. They keep their backs to the wind.
Windy conditions, even babies, don't hold up home improvements. Big nests are status symbols.
One gentoo nest had over 1,700 pebbles and 170 tail feathers. Look, there's a bird being pecked as it walks through the colony. Argy-bargy like that doesn't happen as often in gentoo colonies as with other penguins, because as you can see, the nests are widely spaced, so normally there's a path through so they're not pecked by their neighbours.
Reunited, the pair duet. Their hungry chick joins in.
Delicious. The parent is regurgitating a marsh of shrimp-like krill and fish. When the chicks are around 30 days old, they become a lot more independent, forming these large nursery groups or creches. And we'll be back to see that. That's great fun, because when the parents come to feed them, they make the chicks work for their food and lead them on a merry chase.
I'll return in January, midsummer in the southern hemisphere. That's the peak time for penguin sprints. They couldn't do their runs here at the edge of the colony. This stuff's difficult enough to walk through. Until it was cleared by the early settlers, this tussock grass used to cover most of the Falklands coastline. And it's being brought back now by conservationists because it's perfect shelter for penguin burrows and other nesting birds. And it's superb stuff. There's a pedestal here, and from that grows thousands of leaves And they can be 2 meters long, longer than I'm tall, and some of these plants are 300 years old. I'll meet up with those burrowing penguins later. Down here on the beach, I mustn't let southern elephant seals kick sand in my face. Adult males can weigh well over 4 tons. They're the largest seals in the world. Most of the breeding seals have left now. This is a motley assortment of subadults. Young males fighting over there. They're practicing for the next breeding season. As you can see, many of them are molting. They lose skin as well as fur, and that attracts tiny scavengers. There's tussock birds scurrying in amongst the seals. And here, the little tussock bird pecking at the wound on the back, like a bucking bronco. And as well as picking at wounds, they're also snacking on morsels of elephant seal skin. That must really tickle. It's 25 degrees today, sweltering for elephant seals with all their blubber. When they get a little bit too hot, this is what they do: flip sand onto their backs to cool themselves down. I've dodged being showered. The seals seem to kick sand into their own faces. The elephant seals are safe on the beach, but nearby there's danger. Killer whales come here to hunt them. I'm in the Falklands on Sea Lion Island. I'm keeping an eye on killer whales just off the beach. At any moment, they could hunt down an elephant seal. But for now, these teenagers haven't a care in the world. The young males spend a lot of time honing their fighting skills. They're getting ready for when they have to fight for mating rights. With luck, they'll be competing for a harem of females one day. From an early age, boys will be boys. Even though they're just 6 weeks old, it's easy to tell that these are young males. They're sparring already. They won't harm each other. They don't even have teeth yet. Pups are fed a rich milk for 3 weeks, then their mums abandon them. They are so fat. Since they've been born, they put on 100 kilograms in weight. Now they're practicing their swimming skills, getting ready for their first journeys out to sea. Hello there. This one's had enough of swimming lengths. Curious about everything. There's endearing babies everywhere. Look at these tiny ducklings. These little babes will grow up to be the largest ducks in the world. These are Falklands flightless steamer ducks. You don't find them anywhere else. Their stubby wings barely reach halfway down their backs. They can't fly with those. They're called steamer ducks because in territorial disputes or when they're escaping from predators, they paddle over the surface of the water and they can reach speeds of over 25 miles per hour. In these shallow pools, the newly weaned pups are perfectly safe practicing their swimming skills. But when they venture into deeper water, they're in mortal danger. There's the threat. See that fin? Unmistakable. An orca, largest member of the dolphin family, and they are patrolling. Killer whale is their other name. This pod has a mix of sexes and ages. Females and juveniles have smaller dorsal fins, curved back like a shark's. See the big male there? He's cruising just off the edge of the kelp. And that fin
It's about 1.8 metres, 6 feet tall. Orcas move to different hunting areas, tracking the abundance of their prey. This pod come here at the same season every year, just as the elephant seal pups are being weaned.
The predators are patrolling with purpose. The pursuit is on.
These are clever hunting tactics. Other members of the pod, they're making a diversion out there. But this one is hanging right close to the edge of the pool.
An orca can only get into this attack position at high tide.
Any weaner that leaves the safety of these shallow pools is in big trouble. There's a young seal pup in the pool with the orcas. And it's just on the edge of the deep water.
There's an orca on the left, but the attack comes from the other side.
The elephant seal pup had no chance. Orcas can move at 35 miles per hour, and she just hit him right in the side. Orcas are amazingly versatile hunters. They can feed on fish, squid. They've even been known to take deer or moose swimming across a channel. But often they specialise, and this pod here, they specialise in seals.
Young killer whales have a lot to learn. To perfect their hunting skills, they join the adults to play with the victim. There's a youngster. It has a much smaller tail fluke.
The pup's still alive. Orca's pushing it out to sea.
Up to 9 metres long and 9 tonnes in weight, orcas are the world's largest predators of warm-blooded animals. Their power is awe-inspiring. The seal weighs more than an average man, but they push it along as if it were a beach ball. Killer whales hunting is one of the highlights of a Falkland summer. To see more, I need to leave Sea Lion Island. But at the airstrip, there's one last creature on the bill.
Most of the creatures here seem unconcerned by people. Look at this pair of Magellanic snipe.
The birds have certainly noticed me. Eyes on the sides of their heads give wraparound vision, making it hard for predators to sneak up on them. They don't only rely on their eyes to find food. The snipe's digging that bill in really deep. It's got a touch-sensitive tip. If it feels a worm or anything moving in the mud, it will be snaffled up in an instant. Magellanic snipe live in the Falklands year-round. They mostly stay in a small home patch, but can fly between islands if they have to. An air taxi allows me to island hop. These colourful twin-prop planes are a lifeline here, ferrying cargo and passengers between the islands. We're heading to Stanley, the Falklands capital, where I've a date with penguin royalty. About 2,000 people live in Stanley, over half of the island's population. I soon leave the big city behind. The penguin monarchy is at Volunteer Point, a 2-hour drive away. They share their royal turf with sheep. It seems to me that the king penguins look down their beaks at their woolly neighbours, but they do tolerate their subjects.
Most king penguin colonies in spring and summer, you can see all the different stages at once. This mass of woolly penguins here, these chicks are about 10 months old.
It takes 13 months to fledge a chick, so these penguins can only rear 2 chicks every 3 years.
Because the breeding cycle of kings takes well over a year, the adults get out of phase with each other. There's some parents over there with really big woolly chicks.
For other pairs, courtship is only just beginning. Some are later in the breeding cycle.
This little group here, they're new parents, each with a single egg. Parent kings don't bother with nesting material of any kind. They keep the egg on their feet for the whole incubation period, for 55 days. They change over every week or 2 weeks. The parent that's not doing the work goes out to sea on an extended fishing trip before coming back to change over with its mate. There's a perfectly clean bird here, looks like it's just come back from the sea, approaching a bird that's really muddy. I think there's going to be an egg exchange. And there, the incubating birds, the egg's on the ground. That's something that kings closer to Antarctica could never do. If they dropped an egg on the freezing ground like that, the embryo would be damaged. But here in the Falklands, the ground's not that cold. That was a really quick egg transfer. This must be an experienced pair.
They've probably been together for 2 or 3 seasons, so their chances of rearing a chick to fledging will be much higher than a new couple. Their baby should have a good start in life, like this one has.
King penguin chicks are so unlike the adults. When early explorers first saw them, they thought they were a different species and called them woolly penguins. Hello there.
He'll spend 2/3 of his life at sea, so it's important he has strong flipper muscles. It won't be long before he leaves the land for the first time.